110. The gate was 2.5 million. The bonus is fight of the night. For the Ortega fight was fight of the night, and the Vulcan and Jones did the performance of the night. They all won $50,000. Who's first?
Dana, Jon Jones is back. Had a pretty spectacular performance this evening. Can you just talk about what you thought watching that fight unfold?
He looked incredible. To do what he did tonight with as much time off as he's had, and even in the, if you look at the OSP fight, he didn't look like a world beater in that fight. He looked like he had, you know, his timing wasn't there. He had a lot of ring rust. Man, he looked, tonight, in my opinion, he looked like he hasn't taken any time off, hasn't skipped a beat, and he went in against a very in-shape, motivated, mentally strong, because Cormier truly believed that the ring rust and all these other things were going to be there tonight, and they weren't. Great fight.
Afterwards, I think we were kind of surprised to hear leading up to this fight that you hadn't talked to Jon Jones very much. I mean, with all the things that have happened. So I wonder afterwards, have you had a chance to speak with him, and has he kind of earned your confidence again, I guess?
It's normal, you know. I was upset about 200 and, you know, many other things. And, you know, because I was upset, he was upset, or whatever the deal is, you know, it happens. And, you know, there was no need for either of us to talk anyway. Doesn't matter here. I've said it many times. Tito Ortiz fought here for a long time, and we weren't best friends. So it's all good.
And afterwards, he had the surprise call out of Brock Lesnar in there with the mic drop moment. I guess, what did you think as that was unfolding, and is this something you would entertain?
I guess Lesnar just talked to the AP and said, "Be careful what you wish for, young man." So listen, Lesnar would take 6 months for him to even go through USADA to fight. So it's fun to talk about, but the reality of it happening anytime soon, it's not a reality.
I guess the opposite side of that scenario was Woodley's win tonight. It certainly didn't necessarily entertain the crowd quite as much. What did you think watching that fight?
About watching what fight?
The Woodley fight and beating Maya.
What did you think about watching the Woodley fight? Listen, when you break a record for the least punches ever thrown in a 5-round fight in a title fight, and you beat it by, it was like 130, and these guys threw 60 or something like that. I mean, I think that sums it up.
And I guess we're seeing reports that you've been saying in some other interviews backstage that GSP, who you said was next in line for this winner, is no longer next in line. He's fighting Michael Bisping.
Yep.
Is that definitive?
Yep. There you go.
Do we have a date set for that?
Because I know Michael Bisping will fight. Michael Bisping will show up and he will fight. So, yeah, I'm going to give it to him.
Do we have a date set for that yet?
No.
Okay. And just last thing for me, not necessarily related to the card, but the things that were happening this week. Weight classes, new weight classes were recommended recently. I know this is a big night and you've got time to think about, but you've been opposed to that in the past. Would you be open to that moving forward? Maybe some new divisions in the UFC?
Nope.
Dana, what's it mean to the UFC to get Jones back? I mean, he obviously had so many successful pay-per-views in the first place, and, you know, after this 30-month basic hiatus, being back.
What about pay-per-views?
Just you get Jones back as a pay-per-view draw for the company. What's it mean to the company to have him back?
Tonight was a big night. Tonight is trending over 1 million buys. So it's a big night. It was a great card. It's one of the best cards we've ever done on paper and in person. So, yeah, it's good to have him back. Yeah, it's good.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what your decision was on Tyron's victory? I mean, I guess he can say a win is a win, and he was up here talking about all the takedown defenses he had. You know, he said, you know.
It is true. We just had a little talk in the back, you know. Oh, GSP just texted me. You know, he said, I heard you were talking about my performance. I said, you broke a record tonight. I mean, that speaks for itself. He said, well, this guy had however many, 17 takedown attempts or something like that. And I said, yeah, and not one of them were close. You fought them all off. The guy had one eye in the first round, and you're faster, you're stronger, your hands are better, explosive, you know. I believe Woodley could have finished that in the first round. If not, he definitely could have finished in the second round. You know, if you had a remote control for that guy, he's a freak of nature. He'd be an incredible fighter. And it's easy to, listen, it's easy to say a win is a win. But when you get booed out of an arena, it means people don't want to watch you fight, you know? And that's how you make a living. It's not good if people don't want to watch you fight.
Dana, can you please explain to us exactly what happened after the main event when Daniel Cormier appeared to be really frustrated and you had to say something to him?
Yeah, no, he was telling me that the fight was stopped prematurely, and he was freaking out on the referee. And the reality is that Cormier was out of it and didn't really know what had happened. He didn't know he got knocked out till he saw it on the replay. And realistically, if you look at that fight, he was saying it was stopped prematurely. Could have been stopped 4 or 5 punches sooner than it was. So I was just trying to get him to calm down and relax. And then he kept saying, "Why is Dana yelling at me?" And then when he saw it on the replay, that was when he found out that he had got knocked out.
And how difficult was it to decide on fight of the night with Curran and Albo also on the card?
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. You know, there were so many great fights tonight, and obviously, you know, the Cerrone and Lawler fight was incredible. But in my opinion, I don't know what you guys think. It's you know, but I just thought that Ortega fight was ridiculous. I mean, those guys were standing toe to toe, blasting each other. Both guys had incredible chins. Both guys were lighting each other up, and then it ends the way that it did in that submission. I felt that was fight of the night.
Yeah, Dana.
Yeah.
You mentioned Tyron getting booed out of the arena. With George St. Pierre having such a loyal following, don't you think that fans would actually want to see Tyron actually go up against a GSP and lose?
You ask fans if they want to see Woodley fight again. I think that would be a flat-out no. Who wants to pay to see Tyron Woodley fight again? It's you know, he is an absolute physical specimen. The guy could have finished that fight at any time he wanted to, but, you know, he didn't want to take the risks. You take no risks, you get no rewards.
Dana, to your right. DC clearly wasn't himself in the immediate aftermath of the fight, but it looked like he was kind of put in the position and told to do the interview with Rogan anyway. Could you just clarify that? Was that the case, and what were your thoughts on that?
Did we think that his interview was what?
No, like it looked like he was put in the position where he was told to do the interview with Rogan in the octagon afterwards.
No, it was the exact opposite. Okay. They told Rogan not to do an interview with him, and Rogan did it.
He did it anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. Which,
you know, you got to let the guy talk, you know. It'd be one thing if I don't know. Yeah, I think you got to let the guy talk.
You mentioned a little bit about the stoppage as well. Did you think that it went on for a little bit too long?
Well, it's the complete opposite of what he had thought, where I thought it could have been stopped 3 or 4 punches or 5 punches earlier.
Thank
you. Down here in front, Dana. Where do you think Tyron goes from here then? Like, if he's not going to be fighting GSP next, do you think there's any contenders in that welterweight division?
I don't know. I don't. You know, I don't make fights the night of the fight, but I don't know. But you know, whoever's next, maybe Lawler.
You know what is next for Cyborg?
I don't know. I was just talking to Holly Holm back there, and what do you think, Holly? And it seems like she's interested. I like Holly versus Cyborg. I think it's a good fight.
What did you think of her performance tonight?
Think of Cyborg? Cyborg looked good. She was very composed. She didn't go out there crazy. She took her time, picked her shots, and, you know, I thought she looked good.
Dana, what did you make of Volkan Oezdemir's just ascent right here? Ascent in the UFC. It's been less than 5 months. He has these 3 straight wins, knocked out the guy who was going to be a replacement for this title fight if something happened in the main event. Do you see him as a guy who's ready for a title shot now, or when you look at that division, do you think, you know, an Alexander Gustafsson might be next?
He's looked damn good, damn good. I guess Alexander tweeted out, you know, quit calling out retired fighters. I'm right here. I'm ready to go or something. So I like to hear that. But yeah, he looked incredible. I mean, the guy's coming out, and I freaked out and jumped out. I didn't see that coming. I definitely didn't see that coming.
And you guys announced the first event in mainland China today. I know you guys have been looking forward to doing an event there in a long time. What finally made this happen?
What's that? The fight in mainland China?
Yeah.
We've been working over there for a while now, trying to get this thing done, and we finally did. It isn't easy to navigate through China.
If GSP is getting Michael Bisping, I mean, there is an interim middleweight champion. Do you have any idea what you're planning on doing with Robert Whittaker?
I'm so sorry, man. Say that again.
Sorry, do you have any sort of plans for Robert Whittaker at this point?
Robert Whittaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Robert Whittaker's knee is, he took some damage to that knee, so he's going to be out for a little while.
But he still does he get the winner type of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Brian Ortega, you get talked
So
about.
whoever wins that fight between GSP and Bisping, Whittaker will fight the winner.
And just looking at Brian Ortega as a whole, I mean, he's looked so good in the octagon. I mean, he's got great hair. Is he a guy who you kind of look at as being someone?
Yeah, he's incredible, man. His stand-up is good. He's got an unbelievable chin, and his jiu-jitsu is ridiculous off his back.
And with what Cyborg did tonight, obviously her contract's up eventually. I mean, is she someone you want to sit down with pretty soon?
Who do I want to sit down with?
With Cyborg.
With Cyborg?
She said that she needs to sit down with you guys because her contract is up.
Oh, is her deal done?
Not done. I think she has one more.
Oh, really? Yeah. I guess I better then.
Okay. And sorry, finally, one more. Daniel Cormier, obviously Jon, said some nice words about him. Cormier had said he needed to win to kind of cement his legacy. Just, as the president of this company, when you look back at his 2-year reign as champion, how do you want people to kind of remember him?
You talking about Jon Jones?
Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier? Yeah, Daniel Cormier is one of the best to ever do it. I loved how Rogan said, this is basically Ali versus Frazier. So true for MMA. Two of the best. Daniel Cormier had never lost at heavyweight and had only lost to Jon Jones at light heavyweight, had defended the title. But I truly believe that Jon Jones is the best to ever do it. I think he's the best ever. And had he not had these things go wrong in his personal life, God knows who he would have beat and what he would have done by now. But without a doubt, the best. I mean, to come off after such a huge layoff and all kinds of issues and problems and to do what he did tonight, man, it's just, he's the best to ever do it.
Dana, just wondering, with yesterday you saying that the Bisping GSP fight had sailed and today obviously that being switched.
That ship turned around and fucking sailed back.
I was just wondering if you could clarify when exactly that decision was made to turn the ship around.
Round 5.
Does this affect Tara's chances in the future going forward at landing big fights if he does want to, say, fight Nick Diaz or GSP in the future?
I don't know. It definitely affected this fight. That's for sure. I know that Michael Bisping will show up and fight. No doubt about it.
Dana, prior to UFC 205, you were quite apprehensive to book 3 title fights on a show. Now you've done it twice in the span of, 10 months. Is this something that people can expect moving forward, these huge events with all these title fights? And then how do you really raise the bar going forward every time and for the second half of the year?
I'm so sorry, sir. What was give me the cliff notes of that question. It was...
Basically, will you continue to book 3 title fights now that you've done it twice successfully?
Okay, 3 title fights. Yeah, I don't know. It depends. It depends on where people land, and a lot of. So when we started this year, a ton of people had just fought. We did 3 title fights on the New York card, and had a couple of stack cards back to back. Then people got injured, and yada yada, and this is just the way it worked out. When it can happen, I will do it.
And it seems like this fight is the biggest victory for you guys this year. I mean, a huge success. How do you continue to raise the bar going into the second half of 2017?
How can I rate the second half of 2017?
Raise the bar for...
Raise the bar? I don't know. Well, the crazy thing about this business is fights always pop up that you would never expect and that you would never make in a million years. If you'd have told me 3 years ago that one of the biggest pay-per-views we'd ever done would be Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor, I'd be like, it's fucking ridiculous. How would those two end up fighting, But they did. Mayweather versus McGregor is crazy, You just never know. It happens. Go ahead. You want to go? What's up, buddy?
Not too much. How you doing?
Good.
Okay. So when it comes to Woodley, he is going to have to fight. What did you think of Robbie Lawler, or is there anybody else that you're thinking of that maybe would be a good fight for Woodley?
Yeah, I mean, right now, off the top of my head, I would say Robbie Lawler. You know, he's not getting the GSP fight, but obviously the Robbie Lawler's a great fight too.
And as far as the Robbie Lawler-Cerrone fight, did you have it close? Did you have it for Robbie?
Yeah, I had it 1-1 going into the third round, and I gave the third round to Robbie.
Yeah, because the crowd seemed to think that Cerrone won, but it was a close fight.
Yeah, I just thought that third round, Lawler was pushing forward. He was throwing tons of punches. He was in his face the whole time. I thought he did more in the third.
Okay, cool.
How did you guys score the Jones fight? I had it 1-1. Yeah, everybody. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great night. Do you have a question? Yeah.
So, one of the most controversial fighters in really history that fans don't really like to see and have called a boring fighter, but has always seemed to turn out spectators and fans and made a lot of money off of his career was a Floyd Mayweather. Would you not kind of compare the way Woodley was booed out of the arena to a fighter like that, and how people want to see Floyd Mayweather get beat, by the bigger fighters? And
Are you Woodley's agent?
I'm just saying maybe a GSP could come in and appease the fans, and maybe they would want to see him beat Woodley, and that would be a big draw.
Well, if he beats the two guys at 185, he can move down and beat Woodley. Cool?
Fair
All right. Thanks.